Hi, everybody. I'm Skip Elsheimer, and welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime streaming show. We are not live from the archive. In the midst of taking a break, sitting in the basement of my house, but I still want to share films with you and keep the momentum going. We've seen so many great films over the last year, and I have so many more to share. So today is kind of a recap of some of the films I've shown in the past, and this is kind of a theme show. I'm going to start off with a film. These are all about primates, monkeys, chimps, etc. And some of these films I've shown over the last year. Some you've seen, some you might have missed, but it's all about chimps and monkeys today. This first one is a new one that we got from the Coronet collection. It's Monkey and the Organ Grinder. And there's something, it's exploitive of, a lot of these films are going to be exploitive of chimps and monkeys, but this one is just sweet. It's so quaint. So enjoy.
Listen to the sounds in the city. The sound of traffic. And the sounds of children playing. But where is that music coming from? And why are all the children running? Of course, it's the organ grinder and Miko the monkey. Almost every day, all summer long, Miko and Mr. Russo come to the park. Mr. Russo cranks his organ, and Miko collects pennies from the children and puts them in his pocket. He's supposed to tip his hat, but sometimes he forgets. And Mr. Russo tugs gently to remind him. What fun to watch the monkey. It's fun for Miko and for Mr. Russo, too. But it's also work. For you see, Miko helps Mr. Russo earn money this way. Miko does tricks, too. Miko knows many tricks that Mr. Russo taught him. If you show Miko where to look, he'll hunt in your pocket for pennies. If you hold a penny in your hand and close your fist, Miko will sneak his paw right inside your fingers. So, every day, all summer long, the children come to the park to see Mr. Russo and Miko. One morning, Mr. Russo got Miko ready to go out to the park, just as he always did. But this time, Mr. Russo began to think how many years he had been going to the park every day, how old he was growing, how heavy the organ seemed. Mr. Russo thought he would sit down and rest for a few minutes. Just for a few minutes before he started off to work. Miko didn't understand that at all. He wanted to go to the park, to see his friends, the children. But then, Mr. Russo began to nod sleepily. And Miko slipped the leash right out of his hand. Miko stood up in a chair and chattered. But Mr. Russo still wouldn't get up and go to the park. Miko didn't understand at all. He was ready to go. They couldn't disappoint the children. Very well, then. Miko would go to the park by himself. So out through the window he went. And down, down, down the stairs. It was a long way down. Once he was down, Miko felt a little lost without Mr. Russo. But then he thought once more about the children in the park. So he scampered across the yard. Past the barber shop he went, and right up to the grocery store. Uh-oh. He decided not to go past the grocery store in such a hurry. Of course, he didn't know it was wrong to take anything. He just helped himself to a fat banana. Miko was puzzled. For a moment, he didn't know what to do. Then he jumped down off the stand. Right past the grocery store he scampered. Past the clothing store. Past the florist shop. And right up to the corner. But which way to the park? What a lot of noise there was. There, on the other side of the street. There's the park. But how could Miko get across to see his friends, the children? The traffic light was red. But it was all a puzzle to Miko. And to a waiting cab driver. But when the light turned green, the traffic changed, and Miko saw his chance. Safe at last on a bench in the park. And now, where were his friends, the children? The children were playing while they waited. Look, there's Miko. The boys and girls knew they mustn't frighten Miko. They were gentle and quiet, and they coaxed him until he would come to them. Poor Miko, he wanted Mr. Russo, too. So one of the boys picked up the leash, and they all started off to take Miko home. Carefully across the street and past the stores. Past the florist shop. Past the clothing store. Past the grocery store. Don't worry, Mr. Grocer. Miko's master will pay for the banana. Past the barber shop they went. And right into the backyard of Mr. Russo's house. Miko knew where he was then. Up, up, up the stairs he went. and right through the window back into Mr. Russo's house. Believe it or not, Mr. Russo was still asleep. But then Mr. Russo heard the voices of the children who brought the monkey home. My, but Mr. Russo was surprised to see so many boys and girls right in his own backyard. So, right away, Mr. Russo went to get his organ. And Micko swung out through the window again to entertain his friends. While Mr. Russo played the organ, Micko collected pennies from his friends. This was as good as going to the park. And best of all, Mr. Russo was happy to know that when he couldn't go to the park, the children would come to see him in his own backyard.
Yeah, I've got to try to find a color version of that one. That one is really so great. And hopefully, as we go through this collection of 14 palettes of films, we'll be able to find the color version, because it seems like almost all of the Cornet films have a color version that we've stumbled across thus far. All right, so this next film, I gotta see what's next on the docket, is it's either Australian or New Zealand. I can't remember which, but it's a bike safety film involving chimps. This is not the One Got Fat, where it has children wearing monkey masks. This is actually done with chimps and features a chimp angel. So enjoy.
The Chimp family are getting washed up, but Mrs. Chimp believes in another day and no nonsense about it. Charlie's the eldest. He thinks he's pretty good. Bit of a show-off, Charlie, but he'll learn. Then Chloe, the family beauty. And Chester Chimp. Chester can't understand why he has to wash behind his ears every morning. That's enough to make a fella fed up. Baby knows she hasn't got a chance of dodging the tub, so she decides to be good. And now to breakfast. That's much more popular. Charlie is a very dainty eater. Chloe's really going to town, but Chester's manners aren't all they might be. Just as well Mom's not looking. Now for Baby's bottle. Mom shakes it up and takes it to her. Baby's being a bit difficult this morning. I'm afraid Mom will have to take a firmer hand with her. Hey, Mom! She's going to drink her milk and like it. That's a good girl now. Well, children, time for school. Chester and Chloe believe in an early start, and Mom and the baby go to see them off. Goodbye, Mom. Goodbye. Now I'd better get at those dishes. And here's that smart Alec Charlie. He rides down the garden walk. He's asking for trouble. And he gets it. Boy, what a telling off he's getting. After that, you'd think Charlie'd have more sense. But no, he rides over the sidewalk and across the road. If that young monkey gets to school in one piece, he'll be lucky. Charlie's coming to a pedestrian crossing. He should give the signal and stop for the people. but he doesn't, and poor Mr. Birdwhistle is frightened out of his wits. Look at him going round that corner without any signal. Too bad if there was a car behind him. No signal again when he crosses over to the school. He'll get killed as sure as eggs. Now he's riding across the sidewalk. What next? The only thing Charlie ever shines at is writing. And is he enthusiastic about it? Lessons over for the day. School comes out and Charlie and Chloe start off for home, but Charlie still doesn't seem to have learned any sense. Look at what he's doing, riding double with Chloe on his bike. That's stupid, it's just inviting trouble. And when a car backs out of the garage, he hasn't time to pull up. And crash! They take a nasty tumble. Anyone would think it wasn't Charlie's fault the way he's going on, and the driver says he'll report him to the police. Serves him right. That tumble really hurt Charlie, and poor Chloe got a nasty bump on her head. You big ape. So it's a sorry pair that limp home bruised all over. But at last, Charlie has learned from painful experience that it just doesn't pay to get up to monkey tricks on your bicycle. But Charlie's behavior has landed him well and truly in trouble. The people in the town are fed up with Charlie and his dangerous cycling and arrive at the chimp home to tell Charlie where he gets off. Charlie hears the fuss and gets an awful fright and runs away and hides. The traffic officer promises to deal with Charlie and see he doesn't misbehave in future. So the people leave and he goes inside to straighten things out. Poor Mrs. Chimp is upset about it all. And the traffic officer tells her not to worry, that he'll have a serious talk with Charlie. He hauls Charlie out and tells him that he's got to stop this dangerous riding and that he must look after his bicycle and himself on the road. He gives him a little book, Safety with Cycles, and tells him to carry out the rules in the book and he won't get into any more hot water. So Charlie studies Safety with Cycles and makes up his mind that in the future he'll carry out all the instructions in the little book. And the next morning, the first thing Charlie does is inspect his bike. Let's see if the tires are all right. They're a bit soft, they could do with a pump. Now they're all right. Now to test those brakes. They seem to be working all right, but he must see if they take hold when he moves the bike. Yes, they're okay. Today he doesn't ride down the garden walk. He wheels his bike right to the edge of the sidewalk and stops, and before he mounts he looks both ways. The road's clear, so he keeps well to the right and rides at a steady pace. Still riding well to the right, Charlie is now coming to some people at a pedestrian crossing. So he gives the stop signal well in advance and pulls up at the crossing and lets the people pass. Now the arm signal before turning the corner. He's playing safe today. He's getting near the school and he wants to cross the road. He looks behind first. Nothing coming, so he gives the arm signal and crosses over the road. Today, Charlie does all the right things. He rides to the edge of the sidewalk and gets off his bike and wheels it across the sidewalk and in the gate. Charlie knows now that he can be safe on the roads if he follows the rules in the little book, Safety with Cycles. After school, there's no riding double. Charlie wheels his bike along the sidewalk and Chloe walks alongside, and they arrive home safely without any bumps or bruises. And that night, Charlie sleeps peacefully because he knows he's been well behaved on the roads, when all of a sudden, a beautiful fairy appears. She tells Charlie she has brought him his reward. And Charlie wonders what it is. Diploma, good cycling for Charlie Chimp. Whoopee!
This one is a castle film, and it involves a chimp, hijinks with it's probably a trained chimp, and the narration is god awful. But hey, we show you the best, we show you the so-so, and then we show you the worst here at AV Geeks. So enjoy Chimp's Vacation.
Certainly have something to get off my chest. See, I was caught in a draft and got cold feet when you monkey around in the wintertime. I've eaten in weeks, so don't believe foolishness. The doc says I haven't been wearing enough clothes, but I have a coat on my tongue and my breath comes in short pants. So here's where I get plastered. And the only thing that will get that plaster off my chest is plenty of warm sunshine and some coconut milk. So, we're off to the sunny side. Now the temperature's around 100. Not my temperature, of course. And then I get some vitamins A, B, C, and PEP. I'm afraid the pep will cause trouble. When those vitamins begin to work, I feel like a new heavyweight champ instead of a lightweight chimp. But I keep on pretending that I'm still sick, just waiting for a chance to monkey around and look for some real food. Coconut milk, that's what I want. And this doesn't taste anything like coconuts. Whoop! Ah, this is my chance. I'm on my way. Look out, and there's some all piled up. Coconuts, huh? They grow hard down here, or somebody's trying to make a chump out of me. Hey, inside, open up. Uh-oh, a jail. Never mind, I don't want to come in. This smells like those black coconuts. There's some connection anyhow. Just as I did, she thought I was another chimp. And she's writing home that she has found my twin brother. I'll have to stop that. I don't want to be twins. Just being one chimp keeps a fella plenty busy. And that's when she begins to smell a rat. All chimps may look alike, but after all, I have a personality. She hides in a trash can, and that's what really gives me away, because this is an old game we have played many times before. Come on out, girlie. Last one out of the can is trash. Come on, the game's over, and you're trash. Not only that, but it's time for something to eat. Come on now, and let's take to the timber and find some coconuts where the nuts can be found. That vitamin medicine she gave me is building up an appetite, and I must have food. Ah, what's this? Makes a fine soup, she says, and she wants to stop and play with it. All right, I suppose I have to forget about lunch for a while. Come on, short legs, get on your feet and give me a ride, or you'll be in the soup. Oh, so he has to be turned over, huh? Well, if we can't play leapfrog, we can play leap. Ah, this is too slow. I like action, and I'm going to get it. Nobody's going to fool me this time. They can't put any of those iron coconuts up in the top of this tree, or I'm a monkey's uncle. Boy, will I have pep after this feast. Ah, here we are. Look out below. Now for one more nice, fat, juicy one. Watch it down there. Of course, if I had accidentally conked somebody on the coconut with one of them, that would have made things easier for me. But no such luck. I just don't seem to get a break. Ah, at last. Monkey heaven is just one big coconut with enough coconut milk to swim in, because no chimp on earth ever had all he wanted. This is one coconut that will never decorate the top of a custard pie or get into a candy bar, but it will. Now the girlfriend says she has a treat for me, so we'll see what's cooking. Oh, the girlfriend's little sister. This is something new, but a chimp can ape anything she can do. Just let me look on for a while, and even I can learn table manners. But it seems silly to drink the hard way. Well, here's for a try. But nothing happens. That proves it's silly. The more a chimp sees of people, the more certain he is that it's better to be a chimp than a chump. Tastes like that vitamin stuff again. To drink out of a glass. Bottoms up and down the hatch. Now look at here, girlie. I like your company, and this is a fast-moving chair. But I'm not getting anywhere fast. You're a little too quiet for me. I'm beginning to want some action. Can't spend a vacation like a chump. So it's time for me to leave you. I'll be seeing you. Nobody home. These queer cages that people live in have all kinds of nice things to play with. Here's something the girlfriend likes more than she does me. I'll fix it. Can you imagine loving a thing like that, huh? Go to sleep, you dope. Oh, so you won't talk, huh? Now, here's something really nice. I think I'll look into this and find out what makes it so nice and soft. Oh, feathers. They're nice and soft, but they tickle, especially when they get into your nose. A little more of this and I'll look like I ought to be able to lay an egg. Must have taken the feathers off a whole flock of geese to make this pillow. Oh, well, one day it's coconuts, next day it's feathers. This is what I call getting the bird. That's not all I'm going to get when they find out. Oh, well, it's a soft life after all, and I'm a softie. Ah, they would have to show up. I hope they get the vacuum cleaner. That's just what I need to make my day perfect. Watch what I do with it. The girls think the vacuum cleaner will quickly gather up all the feathers. But watch what it does with the switch in reverse. Well, we sure have had fun anyway, and it all goes to show that fun is like trouble. If you look for it, you'll find it, and sometimes fun and trouble both. Who says fine feathers don't make fine birds? I'll leave it to you. Well, a vacation certainly puts a chimp in fine feathers.
Oof. That one was rough. That was so rough. But this next film is purports to be a science film, but it's kind of anecdotal about primates. And so it's kind of more of like a light science thing for general audiences and not really an educational film. So this is Primates.
In natural history, all human beings are classified as belonging to the order of mammals. The primates, which include apes and monkeys, also belong to this order and are the highest type of mammal with the exception of man. Here is the gorilla, which belongs to the family of anthropoid apes. The gorilla, which lives in West Africa, is the largest of these apes, growing to a height of about 6 feet and weighing nearly 500 pounds. Though feared more by the natives than any of his forest companions, the gorilla is normally of a gentle disposition unless aroused. This 4-year-old has made friends with a pet terrier. The chimpanzee, a smaller variety of ape, also comes from Africa. This beast is found in a more extensive area than the gorilla and is about 1/3 smaller. In facial structure, the chimpanzee resembles man more than the gorilla does. Both apes have blackish hair, but the chimpanzee has shorter arms and longer, slenderer hands and feet. The chimpanzee is capable of accepting, refusing, and thanking with 3 different and distinct sounds. Here is a chimpanzee that has been trained to skate. The intelligence of a chimpanzee is compared to that of a small child and is far higher than any other non-human. Here he shows rather unusual ability in sewing. The chimpanzee picks up bad habits too, but he seems to enjoy it. Notice how he respects the match. The chimpanzee also can be trained to entertain. He does such things as remove his own shoes about as well as you did when you were 3. The third kind of ape is the orangutan, which means man of the woods. Clad in brownish hair, it is found in Sumatra and Borneo. The orang travels in families and lives on leaves, buds, and fruits. It has a flattened oval face and a skull that almost comes to a point. Excessively long hands and feet are assets for climbing, in which this type of ape excels. You may notice that the thumb is undeveloped. The orang shows poor dexterity in handling this piece of wood. Here are the chimpanzee and orang together. The orang has longer arms and shorter legs. Compared to the gorilla, the orangutan is a much smaller beast. But an orang is much more playful and friendly. Just imagine the keeper doing this to a gorilla, but the orang seems to enjoy it immensely. Like a child, the orang enjoys playing in the sand. Notice he uses hands and feet interchangeably. Whoopee! Here, he arrays himself in a scarf. He has not been taught to do this, or this either. And here we see him, without previous assistance, learning the principle of the lever. He seems to exercise almost human intelligence. Now, we wouldn't exactly say he can read, but the pictures evidently are interesting. See how he uses his mouth to aid in turning the pages. Here, he's getting his vitamins. Whoops all over him. So he wipes his face just as your baby brother does. The fourth kind of ape, the gibbon, comes from the Malay Peninsula. Small and light with extremely long arms, it is the only ape accustomed to walking upright. Although the gibbon bears most resemblance to man, it is the lowest type of ape. It has a delicate constitution, however, when caught young, can be tamed easily. It is far more nimble than the larger apes. This ape is the closest connection to its cousins in the New World, the monkeys. So we have seen the four major types of anthropoid apes that inhabit the Old World: the gorilla, the chimpanzee, the orangutan, and the gibbon. Now, let us see how they resemble their New World relatives. The New World or American monkey often is distinguished by its tail, which serves as an other arm and is therefore called prehensile. This is a spider monkey. Besides having a prehensile tail, it can also be recognized by its lack of thumbs. The spider monkey is so called because of its spider-like limbs. The woolly monkey, cousin to the spider monkey, inhabits the Guianas. It is heavier than its cousin, so the natives call it barrigudo, which means big-bellied. Gentle and confiding in nature, the woolly monkey makes a good pet. The monkey lives mainly on fruits. It, in turn, is also considered good eating by the natives. It spends most of its life in the treetops, rarely descending to the ground. It is noted for grave manners, and it is extremely mild in temperament. We have seen a few examples of anthropoid apes and New World monkeys, which are included in the order of primates. These animals, all inhabitants of primeval jungle areas, are a source of never-ending interest because of their close resemblance to the human being.
Okay, so saving the best for last. This was an eBay purchase, and ultimately I ended up getting more films in this series. The premise of this is that a couple of scientists decided that chimps, they wanted to see what would happen if they raised a chimp as a child, as a human child, to see at what point did human versus chimp devolve, like did they go in separate paths. And so they basically raised a chimp along with their baby son, And so this is some of the experiments that they did. Experiments. Some of them are funny. The tickling one is really great. The one trying ice for the first time is pretty great. The cap. The one where they're rotating them around is kind of weird, and I guess they're trying to see if their eyeballs roll up, like because they're dizzy. I'm not sure, but this is an amazing thing. It was a horrible idea. At some point, I believe they abandoned the project because they realized that their kid was actually becoming more chimp-like versus the chimp becoming more human-like, and they decided to abandon it. And then, unfortunately, the chip just kind of was neglected and went numerous places, and it just wasn't a good thing. So, it's one of these things where the scientists aren't always thinking it through, especially back then. It wasn't as vetted. It wasn't as, you didn't have these advisory boards that were like, no, that's a horrible idea. Don't do that. There's a lot of that has happened since where, there's ethics involved with the experiments. So anyways, here it is. Comparative tests between a human infant and a chimpanzee. There's a longer title there, but enjoy. mean, that's nuts. And so, like I said, I actually ran across other films in this collection. I think this is still one of the best. This one resonates with me more. Maybe because I haven't seen the other ones as many times as I've shown this one. But yeah, there was your feel good. Anyways, in spite of that, if you would like to reward the AV Geeks, even though we're on break, we're still actively drinking coffee every day. You can buy us coffee at buymeacoffee.com/avgeeks. You can also visit avgeeks.com and see other shows that we've done in the past and other films that we've digitized. And you can tell the world that you like us by hitting like, subscribe, the notification thing, and always commenting and sharing with other people is very much appreciated. So I hope everybody has a good rest of their day, and we will be back on the next weekday at 1 o'clock. And I'm going to go relax. I'm going to have some delicious ginger seltzer. Everybody take care.